Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Dzkan Toys. Hope all of you guys are doing well. We have another unboxing and review to look at today, and today's figure will be the MAFEX Cyclops. Alright, now that we have our Cyclops figure unboxed, let's talk about the background information of the toy company as well as the character while we take a 360 view of the figure. On a side note, this figure is actually a gift from my wife, so shout out to her. I believe this is an older release last year, maybe around the end of 2019, but it's still a new figure to me. Anyways, regarding the toy company, it is by MAFEX, Medicom Toys. Originally, they're known for their hype toys such as Bear Bricks, but it seems like in recent years they branched out to do the action figure line known as MAFEX, and they have been on fire since because a lot of the character they release, I noticed that the sculpt work are very comic-like and very nice. Now, regarding the character Cyclops from Xmen, there's not much to be said here. He's a very famous character, but a general introduction is he's a fictional superhero appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics and is a founding member of the famous team known as Xmen, originally created by Stan Lee and the artist Jack Kirby. Now let's move on to the aesthetics and paint job of the figure. So in terms of the aesthetics, for me, I think Cyclops looks great. He looks like a comic version that jumps straight out of the comic panels, or a cartoon version of the Cyclops. He's very vibrant and colorful. In regards to the proportions, I've seen a lot of other reviewers kind of bash on the proportions and saying it doesn't look that good. But me looking at the figure personally in real life, I feel like he looks just fine. I don't really see a problem with it. I don't think he looks awkward at all. But then again, it really depends on the person, and each individual have different opinions. So what about you guys? What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. Furthermore, in terms of the sculpting, most of this Cyclops in typical Medicom MAFEX fashion, all of the sculpt is done in plastic, but we do have a part that is made out of rubber. So I would like to point that out. It's the belt over here, the strap that extends from the waist all the way up to the chest around the head. Other than that, the other parts are all plastic. In regards to the paint job, this Cyclops is done in a few primary colors. We have the dark metallic blue for the bodysuit, the yellow for the gloves, the boots, the leg straps, as well as the pants, the belt, and the buckle that extends all the way up from the waist to the chest area. Finally, the visors are in the yellow color too. Lastly, we have the red color that's apparent in the Xmen symbol on the waist, the chest, as well as the visor. Now, regarding the paintwork of this figure, something to note about is I didn't find out this initially, but after looking at a few reviews of him from other reviewers, I noticed that they pointed out the elbow joints and the knee joints over here are actually in a light blue color instead of the body blue metallic color. This might be because originally they plan to paint this figure in the lighter blue and maybe later change their mind. I'm not sure, that might be one of the reasons. Just something to note about. For the paintwork quality though, in general for this figure, I feel like MAFEX definitely have room for improvement. I noticed a lot of paint bleeding at some parts of the figure, such as the visor, the yellow color, we have some type of paint bleeding at the edges and also at the gloves as well. I'm not sure how well this shows on camera, but in real life, on the edges between the yellow coloring of the gloves to the arms of the blue, there's some yellow paint bleeding on my figure. It's a little bit less obvious, but it's definitely noticeable when you look closely at the figure. Here's another example on the other arm, and also on the right leg here on mine, I noticed a bit of yellow paint splatter onto the legs as well, and the same thing over here. We can see the paint going over just a little bit to the blue coloring of the legs. As for the hair coloring of the brown, I feel like it's done decently. Not only is it in this brown color, but I can tell they tried to add some details with the black highlights. It is then for the overall aesthetics of this figure, I really do enjoy it, I would say is near top notch. It really reminds me of a version of Cyclops that comes straight out from the comic books or that I used to watch as a kid on the Saturday morning cartoons. But for the paint work, it leaves a bit more to be desired. As I said, on a lot of the edges, the yellow paint seems to be bleeding over a little bit, and I noticed some small paint splatters. But again, this might just be my figure, but I do hope MAFEX up their quality control in the future. Time for the articulation part of the video, so let's check it out. For the head, we have a 360. Backwards, pretty good. Forwards, looking down, that's very good. So we do have a double ball jointed head. We have a joint here as well as a neck under here. So overall, the side to side and front to back for the head is very nice for the figure. In regards to the arm, go all the way up sideways this far. This is better than most figures. 360 rotation, no problem. We also have a butterfly joint for the elbow for some added articulation. So that's a nice addition. We can do some very nice poses with the butterfly joint. Now for the biceps, we have a swivel here, elbow bend all the way this far. As for the wrist, 360 and side to side depending on the angle. Now let's move on to the waist. We do have an ab crunch. Forwards, backwards is better. Because of this belt piece is made out of rubber, as I mentioned earlier in the video, it doesn't hinder the articulation too much. So we do have side to side like that. Now moving on to the legs, all the way up, all the way backwards. So all the way backwards is hinder a little bit from the design of the buttocks, but we do have a side split of this far, and for the knees we can bend like that. Finally, for the feet, we have up and down, and side to side. If you turn the ball joint to a certain angle, should be possible. A toe pivot. Now that we had a look at the articulation, I would still like to point out two issues I have with my figure in regards to the articulation. First of all, for the ankle joints, they seem to be a bit loose compared to other figures. Especially the right side is a bit more loose than the left side. The good thing is, he still seems to be able to stand pretty well on his own, but I do wish we had tighter ankle joints to carry the figure's weight. The other issue is for his left arm elbow joint. When I bend it, maybe you guys can hear it. It's a huge squeak sound. It sounds like this elbow joint needs some WD-40 oil. When I bend it back, it's really hard to bend it back. You have to use a lot of force. The way that I found that I'm comfortable with doing is hold the midsection of the elbow joints and then use pressure here to bend it back. I really don't want to break the elbow joints of my Cyclops figure. I've seen older reviewers or other people post pictures of previous MAFEX releases where they had elbow joints being broken before, so I'm extra careful with mine. Hope this doesn't happen to you guys. Time to show off the accessories of this figure. So in terms of the accessories, I'm pretty happy with what we get. We have some nice extras. First, let's check out the different head sculpt. This is the one that we have attached on Cyclops. Now let's switch to the other one. Here is the alternative head sculpt. This one is a more casual vibe with him wearing his signature glasses. It's supposed to block his optic blast when he's not wearing his Xmen visor. Let's have a side view look at it. I took a look under the glasses and the eyes are not sculpted for this face sculpt. So this glasses is not meant to be taken off and we cannot take it off. Here we have our third head sculpt for this figure. This one might just be my favorite. We have the expression of the clenching teeth on the face, while we have this energy emitting from the visor. It looks like he's about to charge up his optic blast and shoot it out. Alright, so I was going to showcase you guys the laser beam or optic blast effects, and on the box art it showed that we can take off this head or this head for the visor in regarding to the optic blast, as we see over here. on the box, you guys can see this one is him with a grinning face, and this one is him with the non-open mouth clenching teeth face. So both ones should work, but the sad part is I just can't get the clenching teeth face visor to come out. And what's even more sad is when I tried to do it, I broke this charging piece off of here. I guess some super glue may be able to fix this, but I'm pretty sad right now. Alright, so now I swapped this visor piece on to this head. It has the hole in the midsection to plug the optic blast effect piece. I just can't seem to swap the visor piece off of the other teeth clenching face, so we'll have to do with this one only. We have an optic blast piece like that, and also a wider one like that. So let's try both of them out. Here we have a smaller piece of the effect piece attached to Cyclops. So it looks nice, but it's not anything that will blow you away. But I mean, Cyclops can control his beam with his visor. He can either go all out or do very accurate smaller blasts, so it makes sense. Now let's swap on to the bigger one. Here's the bigger and wider one. I feel like this one definitely has some presence, and as you guys can see, the figure fell because there's more weight to this one. And I mentioned earlier in the articulation section, the ankle joints is a little bit loose for my figure at least, so definitely use the stand or be careful with posing when using the bigger one. Try to show you guys a different angle from the front side. Looking down view probably looks the best, or angled side view. That's the general idea. This one definitely looks better than the other one in my opinion. I do enjoy this effect piece. It's nice that we have options to choose from. Moving on to the other accessories, we also have this visor here. So this is for him when he's not wearing it. You're just supposed to hang it on the neck. Maybe it's this way. And we can plug the glasses eyes on him again, like that. So we have a alternative look. So we can either use this piece or not. I think using it definitely gives it some flair. I do enjoy that we have a display option like that. So that part, props to MAFEX for including it. Now let's check out the hand accessories. So we have the two closed fists attached to the figure. Other than that, we have 4 extra pair of hands, 2 pointing hands and 2 open palms. Let's swap them on. Here's the 2 open palms, and here we have the 2 pointing hand options. So either we can use this one for a pointing pose, or I guess it's for his signature, putting his fingers near his either glasses or visor. Looks like he's charging up his optic blast, or if he's wearing the visor, it can be pressing the visor to unleash the optic blast again. Okay, now let's do some size comparisons with other similar sized figures. Here we have our recently reviewed Figma Arthur prototype. We can see that Cyclops is a bit taller than him. We also have a SH Figure Arts Kaioken Goku. Cyclops is still a bit taller than him, even with the hair, or maybe around the same if you include Goku's hair. Here we have a MAFEX Deadpool. They seem to scale pretty well together. Maybe Deadpool is a bit taller, just a slightly bit taller, but it looks pretty good to me. It's a Revotech Wolverine. I actually have the MAFEX one coming for Wolverine soon, so there might be a review on him. But for the Revotech one, I feel like the height of Wolverine scales very well with the MAFEX one, because Wolverine is supposed to be much shorter, so this looks very good. Finally, we have a Marvel Legends Storm and a Mezco Cable, which I also want to do a review on, even though he's an older figure. I just got him recently too. Storm looks pretty good next to Cyclops. As we can see, Cyclops is taller than her, and even Cable for the Mezco one looks pretty good. Besides Cyclops, Cable is supposed to be a big guy, and Cyclops is pretty tall as well, so Cable is slightly taller here in the comparison. I like this height comparison. Alright, final thoughts on today's figure, Cyclops from Xmen, MAFEX number 99. I really like this figure and I really want to love this figure, but it's not without its issues for sure. First of all, for the joints, the ankle seems to be a bit loose compared to other figures. As for the elbows, as I showed you guys, for my figure at least, once I bend it and try to bend it back, it's very hard. I need to use excessive force. It almost feels like I might break the elbow joint, so I really need to be careful with that. As for the paint work, there's some paint defect in regards to paint bleeding for the yellow paints. They're not that noticeable if you don't look closely, so that one is not too bad. The one that I don't really want to accept is for this head sculpt over here, the teeth clenching face over here is shown on the back of the box on the art that we can also use this face to swap the visors in order to attach this energy piece over here, but I just can't pull this piece out. It's stuck really tight inside, and in the process I actually broke off the charge beam piece over here, which I had to super glue on, so that part I'm a bit disappointed. But on a positive note for this figure, overall the aesthetics is very enjoyable. It looks like a comic version or a cartoon version jumped straight out into real life. He also scales very well with the other lines of X-Men, such as Marvel Legends, Revoltech, or MAFEX, so that's a big bonus. Anyways, there goes the end of my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to support the channel by liking the video and subscribing. I would really appreciate it. As always, stay young at heart, and we're out.